Hi there guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to answer the question of should you teach English? Should you go to Asia or Latin America or Europe or anywhere and become an English teacher? And in this video, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's jump in. Alright, so kicking it off, what's my experience? Did I teach English? Well, yes I did. I taught English for 14 years. So I think I have enough experience to speak on it. The good parts, the bad parts, the things that I had to face, the things I thought about. So let's jump in first to the good. The good is you learn a skill. The skill of teaching is a valuable skill. While I wouldn't say it's difficult to teach English, it is difficult to teach it well. It's difficult to understand what's going on outside of the actual teaching. There's a lot of other like people skills that go into it. Being likable, observing, controlling people, controlling a class, dealing with problem children, all that kind of stuff. So you do learn a lot. If anything, I would say you probably learn how to be a good parent. It's also pretty fun. If you're teaching like elementary school kids, there can be moments where it puts a smile on your face when you teach a kid from the age of, I don't know, 7 all the way up to 10. You see their growth, you see their improvement, you see their personality grow, you have fun in class. English teaching encourages games, so you're playing games a lot with a bunch of kids, and that can be pretty fun. Also, you're around a lot of other people, a lot of other teachers, local teachers, other foreign teachers. So it's a very social environment with a lot going on. And I think it really helps your social skills and your ability to be around a lot of people. I think I probably used to be a bit more introverted when I started teaching it, and it probably helped me to get out of my shell a bit more. It's great also to meet people. I met some very good friends. Some of my closest friends are people who I met. Either they were teaching in the same school, or some they like came and subbed for like, a couple days. So you get to meet a lot of other foreign people in that country. And I think it's important. Like, I know a lot of people, especially if you're learning a language, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to this country and I'm going to learn the language and I'm going to immerse and only make friends from that country. I thought the same thing as well, but actually it is nice to meet other foreigners, other expats in the country you go to, just so you can kind of relax more. You can speak in your local language, you have the same culture, the same references, the same style of humor. So it is good, I find, to meet foreigners, and a good way to do that is through your work. And in English schools, especially if you work at a big one, you'll see a lot of people coming and going that you can get to know. Another one, this is a good and a bad, is the pay. In a lot of countries, the pay is decent. It's probably more than the national average. So you can basically live a pretty good lifestyle earning okay money, afford everything you need, live in a decent place, afford to have the food you want, afford to be able to go out whenever you want. So the lifestyle can be pretty good. You tie that into the fact that you probably won't be even working more than like 25 hours a week. You've got a lot of free time there as well. So the lifestyle can be good, but it is a double-edged sword. Another one is, because of that time, it gives you time on the side to work on any side hustle or side business you want to pursue. So that's something I started doing maybe in the last 5 years, is I realized I had this extra time and I thought, well, I don't want to spend that just, watching Netflix or like messing around. So for people who are pursuing that side hustle, or people who want to, for example, work online or become a digital nomad freelancer, if you're working in an office job and you just need a change and you need more free time, then I would recommend, moving to another country, teaching English for 25 hours a week, getting decent enough pay. Won't be decent in your own country, but decent in the country that you're moving to, most likely. And then spending the rest of that time working on what it is you really want to do. That's basically what I did. So I would teach probably from usually about 4:30 in the afternoon until 9:30 at night. So that allowed me the full day to work on what I really wanted to pursue. So let's move on to the bad. So the first one I've got is the pay isn't that good. So as I said, it might be good in that country, but it's not going to be good in your country. So if you have plans to go back home, any savings you're going to have when you take that back home is going to really be peanuts. So you've got to understand, the relative difference between, how much money you're making and how much it's actually worth. Also with teaching English, I'm not sure how it is in the rest of the world. I'm pretty sure it's the same, but the salary has remained the same more or less, for probably the last 20 years. I remember people complaining about this when I first moved to Asia, and I'm pretty sure the general pay is about the same. So it might be over 20 years. So understand that you're gonna hit the salary cap for your job very, very quickly. I knew someone, they were complaining that they didn't keep getting raises, and it's like, you know, how many raises do you want to get? Every job has a salary cap. You can't just keep getting raises. Also, you got to think of basic economics, supply and demand. You're not that rare. Other people can probably do your job. It's not a highly skilled job. So, you know, you've got to take that into consideration and be honest with yourself. Are you that replaceable? If you are, then you don't deserve to be paid that much according to the market. Okay, it's nothing personal. Another bad is the school managers can be nitpicky. When I first started teaching, my manager, even though I got really lucky with my school and my boss, she was a bit nitpicky at the beginning, but more nitpicky to other people. Like every time a new person came, they were nitpicky in the beginning, and it's because, I talked about this in a past video, they have their idea of how they think English should be taught, and they're thinking about it in terms of making money. So most of the complaints were like, oh, this new guy's a bit boring. And he could be like an excellent teacher and the kids could be getting, you know, top grades, but it was usually like, oh, he's boring, his games are not good, the kids are complaining. You know, as I said in my last video about the language learning industry, Red Pills, they are running a business, so they do need you to be entertaining. They do need you to basically make the students or the customers want to come back. So they can be nitpicky, and also the communication can be pretty bad. For example, my manager, she used to get her assistants to tell people, so it was kind of like a game of operator, or literally Chinese whispers, where like she'd probably tell them, oh, can you tell that teacher that he needs to do this, and they wouldn't get it right, or the teacher would come back with something like, what do you mean by that, and she doesn't know what the boss meant, so the communication was kind of whacked. So yeah, dealing with that kind of social aspect as well. Yeah, if you're gonna come, do understand what you are getting yourself into as far as, you know, working for a business goes. Don't come here thinking you're such a great educator that you're gonna just crush it. You do have to fulfill the role that they want you to fill, and they can be nitpicky about shaping you into that. So the next one, which I guess I just touched on, is they teach language wrongly. Every school you're gonna go to is gonna teach that communicative approach. If you're a language learner, you're gonna go in and be like, none of these kids are gonna learn English that quickly. It might sometimes feel like you're just babysitting. If you work in some schools, you might have 30 kids and you're like, what the hell am I doing? This is not an educational environment. So as I said in my past video about the red pills in the industry, you do have to go in there with two hats. You do have to be like, okay, I know how to learn language and I'm gonna do that for me during my free time, but then I'm paid to do this job. So if you are learning a language, you do have to understand that, okay, if you understand how to learn a language, then you go do that in your spare time or whatever, and understand that you're getting paid to fill a role that they want you to fill on this side. And as long as you understand that it's not really about education, then, you know, you'll be fine. You shouldn't have too much dissonance. Now the ugly. So this is more bad, but I would say the bad that people don't really think about that can get really bad. And the number one thing is your earnings potential goes down the toilet, right? If you come to a country and you are like 25 and then you stay till you're 40 and you're teaching English, you know, what are you gonna do? That's like 15 years of potential career progression down the toilet. So you then have to either do a career change, or you basically have to work really hard to get out of the position that you're in. Now, most people, they become addicted to the lifestyle, they get kind of lazy. I would say most people, they teach their 25 hours a week and the rest of the time they're probably just gaming or going down the pub or not actually working on a side hustle. That's just most people, that's the way it is. And because of that, you can be seen as a loser past a certain age. Like I remember in my 20s, when I would meet people, let's say I was meeting girls and they would say, what do you do? And I'd say I'm a teacher, then it would be other 20-year-olds. They don't really care what you do. But if I was like over 35 and I'm like, oh, I'm a teacher, some people might look at you like, you know, at that point, people do want to know what you do. It is important to them. They might be like, where are you going with that? You know, they understand, a lot of the locals do understand, you know, what it is, what it consists of. They know what you probably earn, and they know that there's not much progression. They know you're probably going to be doing it forever, or there's a chance that you could be doing it forever. The last one, as I touched on, it takes a lot of effort to break out of it, and a lot of people not only don't but can't. So the people that I know who taught English for a very long time but then managed to break out of it, one, taught themselves programming. I know a lot of people go down this route, but more importantly than that, after they did teach themselves that, they actually went to companies because they couldn't find a job, and they were just it could have been the first one they actually went to. They were like, look, I'm new to this, I'm a junior programmer, let me work for you for free. Give me any work you want and I'll work for free for 3 months. And that's how they kind of got in. And I remember they were freaking out about doing that, because they were like, I'm doing all this free work, what happens if after 3 months they're like, okay, thanks, see you later? But actually they gave him a contract, and then he started working for a company. And then, you know, once you've got your foot in the door, work there for 3 years, you become an intermediate programmer, and then your career's pretty much off to the races after that point. So you do have to do hard things to get out of it if you do want to get out of it, like perhaps going that extra mile and working for free. Another friend works in the recruitment industry, and he basically fell onto that through a friend who had experience in that. He went to a company who was hiring, and they're like, we need one other person, do you know anybody? And he basically just got hooked up. If you know anything about Chinese culture, there's a word guanxi, which means connections and relationships. It's really big. So if you can build connections, you might be okay. But in my experience with the people that I know, and including myself, the way I broke out of it, it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. So do realize that if you are teaching English for too long, you are kind of digging a hole that's going to be hard to get out of. So in conclusion, would I recommend it? Yeah, definitely. As I said, I've said that to a lot of people. Like, if you are in a job that you hate and you just want to get out and you want to experience the world and another culture, then going and teaching English and getting decent enough money where you can live a decent lifestyle and only work 25 hours a week, that's like the perfect situation to be in if you want to go hard into like building an online business or something like that, which is what I ended up doing. It's perfect. You can't do that working in an office back home for 40 hours a week, you know, getting up early, you know, going home at 5:30, stuck in traffic, you get home, you eat dinner, it's 8 p.m, your energy is completely sapped. It's going to be extremely difficult to do that. So I would definitely recommend it if you are in that mindset where you want some change. If you're younger, I would recommend it. If you're in your 20s, that's when I came to teach English. Yeah, I'd recommend it as well. But do realize, you know, what I've talked about today. You don't want to be stuck. And if you're older, I've known people who have come in their 40s. I remember training a guy who was 45 and he left the US, and I think he had like credit card debt and a shitty job, and he was just like, I needed to get out of there. Perhaps, because I guess you've already been working your whole life, so maybe you could take 1 to 2 years off and then jump back into your career. So again, yeah, I would recommend it. But as I said, overall, whatever age you are, whatever your goals are, just realize, you know, there is a lot of good. There is a lot. I don't regret doing it at all, but also note the bad and the ugly sides as well. Don't fall into the trap. And that's all. Bit of a rant today. Does anyone out there, anyone watching this, teach English? Are you thinking about it? Let me know. I do have a lot of experience. You can drop questions in the comments there and I'll be happy to help you best I can. All right, see you on the next one. Take care.